Hey guys, this is a production of the J&J Media, brought to you by Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops. What's up, guys? Welcome to the 5th episode of the J&J Sports Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan DeRosuk, followed by my co-host, Thomas Kohik, a.k.a. JCR Clash, and Chris Worsham, a.k.a. Shady Acres. How we doing today, guys?
Doing great, man. Doing great. How you guys doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. How you doing, Clash?
Doing good. Good week.
You finished making your pasta?
Yeah. That's another highlight of the week.
All right, yeah, I guess. How'd you feel about your Steelers this week, Clash?
Super Bowl bound, like I said two weeks ago.
Yep. Shady said they were going to go 3-0 in this stretch, right?
No, that they would have lost to Buffalo and then go the three. They would go 3-1 in a 4-game stretch, losing to Buffalo.
Okay, so they're halfway there. They're so far so good. Anyways, y'all ready for our guest?
I guess.
Definitely, man.
I guess. All right. Well, all right. Before we get him in here, we're gonna show a little preview of his highlights in the current league that me and Clash and race in, the Valor Racing League. So we'll show you how he's been doing in there.
Oh my goodness, they're gonna get them. I think they're gonna get him. It's gonna come right down to the line.
Go ahead and call this to the last man, to the line, Joey.
Here they come at turn 4. FlashNine catching up. He's got a huge run. Will it be enough? The 18 of Middletown looking to possibly take it. Here goes FlashNine to the top. He's gonna get the stage. He got him. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Right to the line.
Oh my God.
I called it. Here comes Flash out of turn number 4. Chase with a huge run. He looks to the outside. It won't be enough. Flash 9 is going to win it at Michigan for his first win of the season.
Incredible.
All right. Well, there you have it. Let's welcome in our guest, Matt Smith, a.k.a. Flash 9. How's it going, man? I'm glad to have you on the podcast finally.
Hey, what's up, fellas? I'm excited to talk some sports.
All right. Yep. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right. So let's get it started. What do you do for work? Let's have to get the viewers started for that.
All right. So I'm a fitness specialist working with the Navy, basically. I've trained, every branch. Mostly Navy. I've done Army and Marines as well. A lot of retirees, and just training commands, 2nd Med Battalions, who I work with majority of the time now. So they are, first response, working with the Marines, but they're technically Navy. So I do that, and then recently in the last couple months, starting my own business on the side. So just trying to reach more people. I know a lot of people, I'm a nobody, I'm not famous or anything. So just trying to, create friendships and, relationships with different people and studying marketing and all that stuff. So my head is like spinning constantly, but I think once I get the wheels rolling, it could be a really cool career development in the future. So be cool to be my own boss one day. That's the plan.
Hey, I would love to be my own boss one day, but you're gonna get there. Well, speaking of relationships, that's how we met you on NASCAR Heat 4, I believe. So
yeah,
let's start talking about that. What got you into the NASCAR Heat community?
I've been a massive NASCAR fan, my entire life. I pretty much like you guys. And always got the games, started out with NASCAR 98, and I remember playing NASCAR 2004, for hours and hours and just doing career mode. And then we started getting into like the online gaming. I think 2009 was when I first got on that. And I was in the process of moving from Ohio to Virginia, and I didn't have like my own gaming system when I moved, so I missed out on like Heat 2 and Heat 3. and just started racing online. And then, you know how it is, all the league owners are like, hey, you want to join my league? And, you know, it's really good and competitive. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I missed trying out for season 1 and all that stuff, but when season 2 started, when they were doing the qualifiers for Charlotte, I still had no idea how to make a custom setup at that point. It was like which slider buddy I had at the time like had a contact who could find a YouTube setup and whatever. So you know, performed a lot better than I did, but you know, obviously met a lot of fast and talented guys since then, and it's been awesome to be mentioned in, you know, some of the same sentences with a lot of these guys over the last, you know, year and a half or so.
Yeah, that's great to hear. We'll go and talking about the current league that we all race in with the Valor Racing League. We're just gotten to the playoffs now, and we have a 3-race stretch with the Roval, Las Vegas, and Phoenix coming up. What are your thoughts on it to advance to the top 5 that go into the championship race at Homestead?
I mean, through the regular season, I was, other than a couple races where, you know, I ran out of fuel late at Daytona, which cost me a top 5, and first race of the year at Auto Club, I kept getting involved in a couple accidents late in the race. I feel like other than that, Clash and I might have been separated by like 1 or 2 points at Talladega, which would have been wild. But yeah, I think all 3 of us, we definitely have shown that we're top 5 and should all be there. But haven't raced a lot of these guys at the Roval before, and I'm always in bed before 9 o'clock, so I cannot qualify when all these lobbies are open. So I might be screwed on some points in stage 1, but hopefully, you know, I don't make any mistakes and half the field does. Other than that, I'll be watching Clashing and Chase battle for the win like half a track ahead of me.
Yeah, Clashing, he's been taunting me lately. He keeps saying that he's lapping me, but yet I'm still running the same lap times on him. What are your thoughts on that, Clash?
Same lap times? You're going to have to show me that, but I'll be seeing you.
I think you run the same lap times.
I'll be seeing you at some point of the race. It might not be for the lead lap, but I'll be seeing you.
You'll be seeing me. We'll be racing for the win.
Speaking of the Roval, I got to jump in here real quick. Speaking of the Roval, I've been wanting to know this because one day at work last week, I think it was, I was bored out of my mind. I was like, man, I need to see a race. And I tuned into a Roval race. I think it was all 3 of you guys in FRR. All 3 of you guys were in FRR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point.
Okay, so I gotta ask, is there a friendly rivalry between the JCR and Flash? Is there like a friendly rivalry? I gotta know that.
No. At least not with me.
Yes, it's
Flash,
friendly.
I love racing Flash. There's zero rivalry.
No. He's saying a friendly rivalry. So I'd say
friendly
it's
rivalry.
No.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty friendly for the most part. I mean, you're always like how we all.
It's not a rivalry though, like at any way.
Yeah, but we're very competitive. That's the thing. So I would consider just like you always want to go out and beat. Like you're my rival too, Clash. I still want to go out there and beat you, even though we're teammates.
Yeah, I mean, well, looking at it from the booth, from my standpoint, looking at the booth all season long, I mean, you guys have been really battling. I mean, of course, I know there's always that rivalry with Chase. I mean, that's better than that. But with you guys have been running, you know, right up in there with that top 5, top 3, you know, kind of bounce. I was just kind of curious about it because when I was watching that race, that Roval race, and I was like, daggone, man. I'm like, you guys go way back. You guys go way back. So I just had to know that. I was just really curious about that.
Yeah, I really don't remember the very first time we all raced each other. It might have been when I joined FRR. I I would say throughout my first season there, it took me a while to adjust to like that level of talent. Because I got lucky winning the first race at Daytona, and then I didn't win again for like, it felt like 20 races. I get, if you want to call it a rivalry, it's just because we're very competitive and we all want to win. But JWoww and I have had a couple, like we've had some run-ins here and there, but it's not like we come at each other
New Hampshire
with insults or anything like that. Like,
I would that New Hampshire
I feel like
deal.
For Flashton and I, we would just be angry at each other and not speak the entire time. Like we race and then we kind of disappear until next week. So, but I mean, it's a competitive rivalry, I guess, if you want to call it anything.
Right,
you're going to see the racing pick up for sure. You know, once we get past the Roval, you know, the next two races trying to get the Homestead is going to be probably some of the most intense racing, I feel like, when you get to the last stage.
Yeah, I'd say it's going to be pretty intense going to the Roval and then Las Vegas and follow it up with Phoenix. But, yeah, we did have a couple run-ins a little bit in NASCAR. I wouldn't say it's the best kept. I wouldn't say it was the best kept running league out there, but we did have some epic battles in NASCAR. Clash was somewhere back in 5th place because he didn't know how to run a slider.
I'm not good at sliders. Sorry.
But to follow up on your New Hampshire cough there, Shady, I guess I'm technically over that. I was mad at the moment when he just like kind of ran me, but I didn't really have anything for those guys towards the end of the race. I was more mad at I'd say the end of the stage 3 because I could not get around Slade, and once I got around Slade, I knew Clash would just give me the P3 spot because he was on way older tires. And then towards the end of that race, I ended up I got loose out of the PJ1. I would turn 4 and run up into Slade, but Slade thought I ran into him. But it was an accident. I got completely loose. So yeah.
Before or after you wrecked me?
I didn't wreck you. You wrecked your own self because you didn't counter steer.
That one too. I'll wait for that one.
Me and Clash, if we have a tally up, Clash has wrecked me way more than I have, and he's wrecked me more for wins, and that's what makes me mad. Like, I mean, I'm over it. It happened a couple years ago, but Clash will not let down this one time. I was coming down the track at New Hampshire, and he thinks I cut his whole nose off and completely wrecked him.
Oh, you wrecked me.
I didn't wreck him. All right, whatever. I didn't wreck you. But yeah, we all finished top 3 in the standings throughout the end of the season. Clash ended up got the regular season title. Flash finished P2, and I got 3rd place. But it was a good battle for the regular season. It's gonna be stepped up another notch going into the Roval, which and I know the field may be a little more spread out, but going into Vegas, like Flash said, and Phoenix, it's really gonna be pushing the limits, and there will be probably tempers flared. But from a booth perspective, what do you feel about it, Shady?
It's definitely been picking up from the booth aspect. I mean, earlier in the season when Flash, when you were catching up on JWoww and caught him and passed him for second in points, and then when Bro Chase got a couple of wins there, then things really started picking up and heating up. And now towards the end of the season, in any league, I mean, when the playoffs are a different, that's a different ball game. So that's where, the claws really kind of come out, I think. So I'm actually really excited because, I mean, the racing has been absolutely intense. Very, very intense. You guys put on one heck of a show every single week, just watching it and being able to broadcast it. I mean, you guys had me on the edge of my freaking seat every freaking week, I mean, And it, like just like you guys were saying, man, it's only getting tighter and more intense. Which you guys are all competitors, and it's all about competition. So that's why tempers are going to flare, because there's there's not much time. So if you get one bad finish, you're pretty much done. So I mean, you got to be almost spot on perfect, to have a chance to take that title. So I mean, that's it. Playoffs are a different ball game, man. It's getting intense, and it's I can't wait till we kick things off tomorrow night.
You mentioned a couple times, Shady, how like USA, me, Clash and Flash, we're just like we're pro league level, but we never really had that shot to get into the pro league because me and Clash missed the first couple seasons to qualify for the pro leagues, but then the eNascar Heat had some events, pro league events, I would say, and we qualified for most of those races, and we did get to drive against those pro league drivers. But would you think there should be another pro league, Flash? Because I don't know if this next game coming out and probably around this next year around this time will be better, or because this last game was pretty much trash and we all had to stick to Heat 5. Mm-hmm. Do you think there will be another pro league, or it's just going to stay the same? Maybe they'll do a couple events here and there.
It's hard to say. Like none of us, were drafted and we're in that circle to where we're hearing, certain bits of information. I don't know how influential, the actual NASCAR teams were, and oh, we want an eNascar team. Because I know iRacing's full on, those people are invested into that. I don't know if they would, care to jump down to console again. I mean, it showed when the qualifiers were up, whether it was the series races that we qualified for, or even for pro league contention. There's thousands of people that will try out for that. So I feel like it would be smart if they were to try. I mean, it still mean a lot to say hey, I was drafted by Hendrick team, whoever the representative is, and then you get to drive your own car. That's pretty badass. So I feel like the three of us, we were on the cusp of if Ignition was able to carry that, we would have been pretty high on some of those teams' lists and could have possibly been drafted. But I don't know anything about the new game. If it's, I feel like they went so far backwards with Ignition from the Heat series that I don't know if it's going to take years to try to get something that, the community's all yes, we love it. We can do all our stuff, but, I was fully invested, in trying to get drafted. I felt like, I think the summer came after the winter, right? Is that how
so they had the winter order. They had the winter showdown first, and then the summer showdown later after that. So it was 2020 winter, and then 2021 summers when they had the showdown.
Yeah. So I had qualified for all those races. The winter series for me was kind of up and down, but for the summer series, those 4 races, I think out of everyone, I had the best average finish of, I was 9th, 5th, 4th, and 3rd. So I was, feeling really good. I had a shot to win multiple races and felt like my stock was high. And then, there's no pro league game isn't gonna handle it. But I mean, I'm at peace if they don't want to. I'm not gonna feel like I missed out on something major in my life, but I feel like it'd be really fun to experience if they brought it back.
What are your thoughts on it, Clash? You think they should bring back the pro league?
I think they should. I don't know. Is there enough drivers to fill a competitive field? Like, yeah, all the old pro guys seems like they left. There's still a few hanging around, but I would think they would have to do a total redraft. I mean, who knows what they would want to do, but the redraft would probably be.
It would bring some back, I'm sure of it.
Would you say some of those drafts were fair though, or are they going directly for pure talent, or were they going? I know it could be a little controversial, you know.
I didn't really pay attention, like, because
no fishing.
Obviously, you know, like I didn't come into the scene until the end of Heat 4, so I didn't really pay attention to the draft. But I have heard they like certain teams want certain drivers, like certain teams want, you know, maybe someone fast, and then certain teams want maybe a sloppy Joe with some followers to help promote the game.
We didn't have to name people. I just get it.
Well, he's the easiest one. Well, he has YouTube.
He's a good broadcaster though, for Valor.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I think, you know, if they were to come out with a new pro league, you know, and coming, you know, on the heels of what Clashin was just saying, as far as, you know, pro league guys are still hanging around. I think that if they came out with another showdown, I think definitely those guys that probably, you know, that were in the pro league that switched to the iRacing or whatever, or just hanging around like Clashin said, if they had another showdown, then those guys would come out of the woodwork and compete for that, for the, you know, for the title of pro league. Now, you know, from the aspect of what you were saying, that you don't consider yourself pro. You guys, you don't consider yourself pro league. I've been around several different leagues. I've known a lot of different people, and it's how you guys are kind of viewed because of your skill level and how good you guys are. You don't
got to be good to be in the pro league. I'll just say that.
Well, I understand that.
Off of speed. Yeah, let's talk about off speed, talent, that type of pro league.
It's how you guys are viewed. Because now, like, take Valor for instance. I mean, not everybody, was even considered. You know, guys wouldn't even think they would even be considered because it's an upper tier type of league, which you guys are in that upper tier and viewed in that upper tier. Flash, I mean, like at FRR, I mean, you just won another race in FRR, didn't you? Didn't you just win a race?
I did Sunday.
Right. And you're doing very, very well. And I know that you're in the playoffs there and rocking it. People see that. So, you know, just from what the people that I've known in the community, the part of the community that I've been associated with, it's how people are, view you. People view you as pro league, pro league guys, just because you guys are in that tier, basically. So, I mean, you might not have an official title of pro league, whatever, but in the eyes of the community, that's how you're just viewed. That's why I mentioned and I said that because in the part of the community that I'm associated with 3 different leagues. I'm in FTR, I'm in Hammer Down, and I also run in the Mystic Racing League. And so I know a lot of people that watch these broadcasts and watch you guys race. So a Valor race, a Valor league, is an upper tier competition where only certain guys are even going to be considered for that. So that's why it's viewed like that.
Well, we all make some valid points if they should bring it back or not. But if they were, I think us 3 would be on the top of the list for what a team is looking for in speed, talent, work ethic, and if it were to follow through, I think we could end up making it, but we don't know.
Absolutely.
That's why the best thing we have as close to a pro league is, like what Shady said, is a Valor racing league. And also the pro league that they had, it was basically like a 25% race. There was like no stages, no nothing. And like when you actually have 50% with stages, some times wear on the tires and the fuel, it actually is a completely different type of racing than what you have with the actual pro league setup or format of how they have their races set up.
I think that was the downside. I love the 50% races. I would even be happy if there, weren't stages, in some of these leagues, but it kind of gives a reset if you, speed on pit road or anything like that. But you can get a bunch of talented guys together, and if you have 150 laps to move from the back to the front, if your car is capable of it, you don't have to make it in that instant. You try to fit 24 of the fastest guys from each platform into a 50-lap event at Dover where you cannot pass anyone. Like, the majority of the field is relatively the same speed, and if someone if they have a late entry into the corner, you're getting booted to the wall, because the guy behind you is thinking, well, I gotta get my what to the front, and I don't care about you. And I mean, we all heard the arguments and the discords during and after the races, and
ego has played a factor as well.
Yeah, that's the downside of it is, and everyone deserves a shot at the win. You're fast enough to win, but if you race like a dummy, that doesn't give you any more of a right than us. Like, I'm not like a huge personality by any means. I can be creative, like if I needed to make a video and post it, but like I race, I'm not super exciting to watch race, because if I have 50% of a real life race to move through the field, you're going to see me sitting there, but I'm not going to make a stupid move that, pisses someone off at me or eliminates myself from contending in the last 20 laps, or the last pit stop.
What do you with the races being so short, and like there maybe only be one pit stop, and then with everybody being so aggressive, it'd always be caution after caution, and at some point the race director is just like, I'm gonna stop throwing cautions.
No cautions.
And then it's just like, well, what the hell? We put hours and hours to get into this one event where you only have, like you say, 50 laps at a Dover. It's like our hard work is not really paid off, because all they see is like, they see a big money sign. They say, oh, if I'm the top 10 or top 5 gets this amount of money, I need to go get that. And it's like, this is patience. You need to have patience going into these races. That's why I like more about league races. You have those 50% with stages, and you can have pit stops to where it's not all about push. You have to have patience to move through the field, such as that.
Yeah, I wish that, I know it's like viewership attention, if they were to make it longer, I don't know if they're trying to maximize their views for that type of thing or not, because I mean, I felt like they had the funding regardless whether people watched it on Facebook. But yeah, it changes how you race for sure. If you're up front, you're trying to stay there and you're blocking like hell, to wait your turn. And if you're starting mid-pack, you got to root your way through the field. And I mean, it depends on the track too. Like, I'm glad we didn't run a Bristol or a Martinsville or anything like that. We had Pocono, which that whole qualifying type deal and stuff, that was all messed up. But I feel like that fuel mileage race was probably one of the most fun ones that we did. And I was I got my ticket to Atlanta through that race, but I was trying to catch Klassen so bad for third. But like I feel like he was in the back the whole race, and then all of a sudden he's running top 3.
I was in the back of the hole. What do you mean? I got out the second before I started saving fuel.
Klassen is a fuel saving guy. He's like,
Sorry,
he's like,
I know how to save fuel. I don't even have a shifter either, so suck it.
So
I'm not
okay,
making fun of you. It's just like, we're able to take advantage of different strategies. If a caution comes out at a certain point, because it
on
forces,
the first lap.
Yeah, like it forces, some people to use their head, which you have to use throughout a race. And then others are just like, well, I forgot, a fuel gear or whatever, and they just go balls to the wall, and then they end up finishing 17th because they didn't strategize or race well,
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
I don't know if you know this, Flash, but people hate us. Like people like JWoww, the guys that can't race and think
Like
at the
me.
same time, and they don't know how to calculate how many laps. Everyone just doesn't think strategy, and then so it seems like every strategy race is between us two, and maybe a kill like Jason.
No. Also, there's a point to where my ego says, okay, I'm manipulating the game to where a fuel gear is not even real in NASCAR, and we're over here having these 6,000 RPM gears to where it's like it's not even racing. We're just riding at this point, and it gets to a point where it's like, why are we even doing this?
Whoever has the best gear, best setup to make the best lap time, that's still racing. Just like if you're going 100%, just whoever has the best gear, best setup, best lap times. That's still.
They all have the same gears in NASCAR. That's the thing.
Yeah, not my problem.
But they still go into fuel-saving mode.
Yeah, to save about 1 to 2 laps, not a quarter of an extra tank.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, all right.
But I mean, that's part of it.
All right, yeah,
You fast guys just hate us slow drivers that like to save fuel.
I'm in the same. Okay, not to be selfish, but I'm about the same speed as you. It's just to a point where it's like I'm done. I don't like fuel saving. It's not me. Except for except for Daga. Except for
remember
Daga.
that Shady when he went head on to the wall?
We don't talk about that. Anyways, before we move on to our to the actual sports, I was gonna ask Flash. I got a question. Do you remember in NASCAR when at Daytona, when me, McLovin, Clash he didn't do anything, but we started attacking a certain drivers towards the end of the race, and we may or may not got kicked out.
I was trying to dodge y'all.
All right, yeah, we may or may not got kicked out after that race, but
I might have started it, but I didn't do anything that ruined the race. I started it, but I pulled over.
Because he was scared. That's why he didn't want to follow up with a plan.
Well, I'm not a dirty driver to that.
Who are you going after?
What was that freaking slow?
Bubba.
Yeah, fucking the Bubba Hollywood and that fucking group of Timac friends, the slowest, trashiest drivers ever, and they're always wrecking me for 5th place. And then like, if I say anything, it's always my fault.
Yeah.
So I wrecked them back. So he got what he
ended up
deserved.
quitting before this past season even finished.
Bubba, that's the main reason why I wanted to get out of the league. It was because of Bubba. He just always in the way, and then he never apologizes after anything. Like I'm trying to lap him, and he will let if I'm running down second, or running down first, it's usually Flash. He'll pull out of the way for Flash, but then once I come in to try to lap him, he just goes right in the racing line. I'm like, dude, get out of the way. And he always every single race, and it just got to a point. It's like I just had it, so we just may have wrecked the field or twice during that race. But all right, let's move on into some real sports, and let's talk about the Cowboys losing to the Eagles, 17-26.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
Eagles.
All right, yeah, let's talk about it. What do any of y'all want to start it off or no?
The Cowboy season's over. Isn't that coming back this week? They'll be lucky to win another game.
I don't know. Is he come back? I know he was thrown in practice a little bit.
Yes, he's expected to come back this week versus the Lions.
Oh,
Lions are gonna win.
The Lions have been dinged up, so they're coming off a bye week. I know that. I don't know, cause what's their receiver? Mora.
Like St. Brown or something like that.
Yeah, Monra St. Brown. So he's their biggest offensive threat. He missed the game before their bye week. I'm not sure if it was ankle or what it was, but I mean, Goff I feel like has been quietly playing well, but they're not. I really haven't heard I don't watch the Lions, but I haven't heard a peep. They haven't showed any highlights of Hutchinson, the defensive end out of Michigan, or any of the other defensive players. So, I mean, if Dak is, he will play well, but they've also, I feel like their receivers have to do a better job at getting open. There's like multiple teams that are struggling at the receiver position that they just can't simply get open. Like you see it with the Bucs, the Packers, the Colts have had that issue for the majority of the season. It's either that or, the offensive lines just stink. But I feel like Dallas, they're 4-2.
Yep.
Giants aren't going to keep this winning pace up. I feel like at worst, they'll be playing for a wild card spot at the end of the season.
Well, who do you think's going to take the East then?
The East?
Yeah, if
go ahead.
So if you're saying that New York, the Giants, will be playing for a wild card spot.
No,
who do you
Cowboys
think is gonna...
will.
Oh, okay, the Cowboys. Okay. I thought you said that the Giants would be playing for a wild card spot by the end of the season.
No,
Okay.
I think the Eagles will end up winning the division. I'm not going to predict any records, but I was checking the Giants' schedule so far to prepare for this discussion, and they really have not beat anyone tough. They're beating like the Panthers, and they lost to the
Cowboys.
They lost to the Jets and the Cowboys, or just the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, they've only lost to the Cowboys.
Okay, but I mean they beat a bad Titans team in week 1 barely, and a couple other weak teams. Baltimore is not that good offensively other than Lamar and Mark Andrews. They can't run it more than like 25 yards with any of their running backs. So, I mean, they're solid, but their schedule gets tougher. So I don't see them, being 11-6 or whatever. They'll probably be like 9-8 at best.
Yeah, I see the Giants going for a wild card as well. Maybe get the 6th or 7th seed. Cowboys, it's going to be tough for them to get the East at this point now. They're just going to have to hope for Eagles to start losing some games, which, I mean, they're 6-0, but to get them to lose 2 or 3 games while Cowboys are winning those games, I don't know if I could see the Cowboys taking the NFC East at this rate, but I do see them at the very worst getting a wild card. I don't see them missing the playoffs because we're getting Dak back. Cooper Rush, he held it down for a little bit. He had a 4-1 record, but now that we're getting Dak back, I feel our offense. I felt better coming out of the Eagles game, knowing that we held the Eagles to a good position towards the end of the game. I know we were losing 20-0 at some point, but we came back to 20-17 with a solid backup quarterback. And if we would just have that one missing piece, which is believe is Dak, we could get back into contention in the East, but it's going to be hard at this rate.
Well, Dallas, they need the problem with Dallas's offense is they're completely one-dimensional. They have CeeDee Lamb and nobody else. I mean, of course, yeah, they have
Michael
Zeke
Gallup.
As,
Don't say Michael. You don't know who Michael Gallup is?
The James Washington 2.0?
No. James Washington, I don't know. Okay, James Washington is coming back from injury in like a couple weeks, but still, I haven't seen nothing from James Washington to make me think he's better than Gallup. I know Gallup. I've seen Gallup.
Gallup hasn't produced anything at all this year.
Because Cooper Rush is the quarterback. Cooper Rush is, he's throwing for 180 yards a game, but how are you going to give the ball to receivers if he's barely throwing the ball? If we're running the ball more,
Right. Well, what's going on is that because Gallup isn't, he's a good receiver, give him that credit, but he's not your WR1. He's not your CD Lamb. So what
I think
defenses are
he's
starting to do
equivalent
is
to a
roll that
WR1.
safety. They're rolling that safety over to CD Lamb, locking him down, and their offense is kaput. They don't have a tight end to go across the middle. They don't have, Gallup is their only. So if Gallup doesn't show up, then they're putting a safety over top of CD Lamb, and they can't throw the ball. So that's kind of the thing, and that's what I saw the other night, against Philly. And so, I mean, and a lot of teams have that same problem. Like you were just, naming off, a couple of teams. The common denominator of those teams that you were just mentioning was having one option. Like the Ravens, they have Mark Andrews and nobody else. I mean, if you look at the good teams, you look at your Kansas Cities, you look at your Buffaloes, they've got 2-3 weapons that defenses have to account for. They don't have just that one guy that you can roll that safety over and take him out of the game, and you're kaput. So that's why, if they can have that receiver step up, if they have Gallup step up and do what they need him to do, then the offense can move the ball and they can do something. But it's really resting on that from what I've seen anyway.
We've had more than just not Gallup, but we've had Noah Brown step up since Cooper Rush been taken over as quarterback when Dak went down, and Dalton Schultz he's out for his knee injury currently, but he once he heals that up, then he's going to be that threat across the middle of the field. So you got CD Lamb, then you got Gallup, Noah Brown, then we're about to get James Washington back, and the main key of this whole thing is we're about to get Dak back. You have Cooper Rush. Of course you can't produce as much as you want when you had the number one offense with your quarterback, Dak Prescott. You don't think that's going to change anything?
It all rests on the shoulder. Like you just said, it's from the health aspect of, when they brought James Washington, they signed James Washington for, this past season, and having Michael Gallup, they need those guys to step up to take that pressure off of CD Lamb so they don't have a double, that roll that safety over top of CD Lamb. And the problem is that they have to make the defenses fear those guys. And right now, the defenses aren't fearing anybody else but CD Lamb at this point.
Well, the best thing for quarterbacks, because of the quarterback, and plus you're turning one-dimensional to the rush game, and then you bring a quarterback who just had the number one offense last year. Doesn't that make them even more dangerous? That'll make them two-dimensional, then more balanced offense, and that'll have the quarterback available to throw to these receivers, and then they'll take the pressure off these guys because I'd say Dak's is a top 10, top 8 quarterback when he plays at his best in the NFL.
I would agree with that, but if going back to last year when they had a number one offense, who else did they have besides CD Lamb?
Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson.
Exactly. They had a second weapon that defenses had to account for that they feared.
Yeah,
right
but
now,
when they played, they didn't have all those four receivers for most of the season because Cooper would go down for a game or CD had a concussion for a game. I think they only played like 4 games out of the whole season with their top 4 receivers. And I think once we get James Washington and Dak Prescott back, we're going to be as dangerous as ever. That's why I said I feel to hold Eagles to what that score was with the team that we have or the offense that we had with just only running the ball, and with Cooper throwing 3 interceptions, that's 3 more opportunities giving the Eagles the ball, and they've only had a 9-point lead. That I felt better going out of that game than I was going in that game because I know Dak Prescott can be that game changer to get us that win.
I don't think we can judge the Cowboys receivers right now because when you have your backup quarterback, like no one's gonna expect Cooper Rush to throw the ball 50 yards down the field. CD Lamb's running all these crossing routes, so that's why is you're your guy. But when you bring Dak back, now you have the deep threat, you have the Gallup going deep. Now the safety will actually have to play deep. They can't just double CD. They'll actually have to watch the whole field instead of just the crossing routes. So I think once Dak comes back, I think the Gallup might be having some more production. CD might be getting open a little more.
Yeah. All right. So out of all of us, who do we think is the number 2 team? Because we know the Eagles are atop of the NFC right now, and they're 6-0. But who do you think is the number 2 team in the NFC? We'll start with Flash. No. Team. We'll start with Flash.
In the entire NFC?
Yeah, NFC.
Oh, man.
Because you got the Vikings at 5-1, the Giants at 5-1, Cowboys at 4-2, and I think the rest of the teams from down are 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize the NFC East was dominating like that, but I mean, the Vikings, no one's really talking about them. They're sitting there at 5-1. I don't pay attention to the Vikings, but if Jefferson can keep going off in games, Cousins he's made his money with lack of wins. I feel like he's the most 500 quarterback that I can think of, but I don't believe that's due to it's not on his shoulders. They haven't been able to hold together a solid team up there basically since Brett Favre went off that one season. Constant injuries at running back. Before Jefferson was there, I know they had Diggs, but before then, I was I don't even know who's playing receiver there. But they still have Thielen as well, and their defense has been pretty solid. I don't know their schedule. In the NFC, I would just go by record. Honestly, I don't think the Giants are as strong as the Vikings are. I would move the Cowboys to second once I know how Dak is going to play when he comes back.
That's fair. I would say that's fair. Clash?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Flash. I think the NFC is just Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys. NFC hasn't really played that well. I was thinking the Niners were going to be pretty good, but they had a rough last game, so I kind of take them out. But I'm going to go the Vikings as the second best team.
Shady?
I'm going with the Giants. I like the way the Giants.
Oh, my God.
Saquon Barkley.
Big Blue.
He's the quarterback, the running back, the receiver.
I like the way the Giants are playing. They're a smash mouth kind of team. I like that. They're getting better. Danny Dimes. I think he's finally found the offense that fits him. And I like the way they're playing. Now the Vikings, just like Flash said, Flash hit the nail right on the head. Nobody's talking about the Vikings really. They're not getting much love, so to speak. They're not getting, you're not hearing much of them, but there they are sitting at 5-1. So, I mean, I would put them right there with the Giants. But, with the NFC North kind of being a bit of a weak division, I want to, we'll kind of see what happens. But as of right now, if I to put a solid number 2 would be the Giants, but the Vikings are right there on their heels, right there at number 3.
So the Giants, the Giants that you have at number 2 is the team that got beat by the Cowboys. I'd say at 80% strength. That's the team you have at number 2.
It happens.
And that was what, the second game of the year?
I think it was the third game. Third game.
Was it? Third game, yeah. So, that's still early. It kind of still early in the season. The team's still kind of finding their footing a little bit, their identity. So, I mean, just the way that they've kind of come together the past couple of weeks. The next time that Dallas plays the Giants, it could be a whole different ball game, my friend.
Do you think it's going to change that much?
I'll argue that one. So the Giants, okay, they've started off well. So their schedule, they got lucky and beat the Titans by 1. They beat the Panthers by 3, lost to the Cowboys, beat a bad Bears team, a bad Packers team, and a messed up Ravens team. We'll get to the MVP talk later, but I would say Jones is playing probably the best football he's played in the NFL. Barkley is healthy, and he's running the ball well. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry. The problem with the Giants is Barkley is also their leading receiver. He has the most catches, and they still do not have a receiver with over 200 yards receiving yet this year. They might be 5-1, but they're not going to continue to win like that.
And their main receiver got hurt during the Cowboys game. Sterling Shepard, he tore his ACL, so he's out for the year. So you're going to pick up some random off the street to go be your number one receiver. He's never
been the most that he had ever been before that. Like, he's been a number 3 at best his entire career.
That's in your opinion, Shady?
But
I couldn't argue that. I couldn't argue that. With Sterling Shepard going down, yeah, that's definitely going to change the dynamic. I mean, it's next man up now for that. So I mean, we'll kind of see what happens. You know, like I said, you asked me this week who I thought the number 2 team is. If you were to ask me next week, it could be very different. It could be the Vikings.
We'll make sure to add that question for next week. So we could all.
We'll have to follow this up. We'll have to follow this up and see and follow that. Well, we'll follow this up next week.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Keep an eye on those Giants, though. Keep an eye
on them. I mean, their record says it. So I don't doubt. I mean, it makes me feel good to know we're not the NFC least. It's more of like the NFC beast side of the division. Because I'm pretty sure we have the best record accumulative of the whole division out of all the NFLs. Mm-hmm. But the Commanders or the Redskins, whatever you want to call them, they're holding us down. I don't know. I told Clashin earlier this week, and I was saying maybe the Commanders could be the 4th team to get all four NFC teams, East teams in the playoffs. Because since there's 7 teams allowed, you get 3 wild card teams. I don't know. That means
not going to happen. Commanders are not going to be close to a playoff.
Carson Wentz is out for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah. But I'm saying in general because once we go off the Cowboys, there's like a bunch of teams at 3-3, and the Commanders are only at 2-4. So they're literally riding the mix of a number 7 seed in the wild card. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I say it's possible. But Minipeach Framing Designs and Gift Shops is worldwide on their websites, www.minipeach.com. That's www.minipeach.com. They offer something for everyone in their gift store. They have so many gift ideas including baby items, home decor, garage signs, gift for kids, candy, Nintendo items, Harry Potter, Sailor Moon, frames, bereavement items, gnomes, pet items, canvases, art-free walls, and more. They even stock items for every season, including Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween, and Christmas. They even have gift ideas for Mother's Day and Father's Day. Shop www.minipeach.com with promo code JJ10 for 10% off your entire store purchase. Support small business with Minipeach. That's www.minipeach.com. You'll find something for everyone on your store list. The gift shop with somebody ever for minipeach.com at promo code JJ10 and check out for 10% off your entire store purchase. Well, we're going to move on to the next game. Probably one of the game of the year. Bills versus Chiefs. Josh Allen was it more of like a AFC divisional from last year's redemption game, and he got a touchdown in I say the last 2 minutes. Got home the win. Mahomes threw a pick late and sealed the game that way. But do y'all believe that there will be a rematch in the playoffs, say AFC divisional or AFC championship game? Flash.
I mean, it was a great game. I watched the whole thing. I feel it was even better if you're a Bills fan because they went back to Kansas City and beat them. At this point, shoot, I mean, like, was it Romo and Nance called the game, and they're already fully bought in that it's going to be Chiefs Bills for the AFC Championship game. I mean, they have the two best quarterbacks in the league right now, is in my opinion. So I'm trying to pull up their stats here. I think the Bills for sure, just because they have so much talent, you know, for Allen to throw it to. He's already got 17 touchdown passes to 4 interceptions. Stephon Diggs already has 49 receptions for the season. Sorry, I'm a stat digger, so that's what we're gonna go with. You know, they don't really run the ball. They're mostly, you know, passing team. But I mean, if they stay healthy, how are you gonna cover? You know, they have Knox at tight end. Diggs is probably leading the NFL in catches, as well. And then you got, you know, Davis, McKenzie, all those guys that he can throw it to. But it's Mahomes, and then he's got Travis Kelce, who's like the most unstoppable force in the NFL. I hate the guy so much. I'm glad the Colts beat them. But
Yeah, they beat him.
I don't know how. But I think, you know, someone else in the AFC is going to have to go on a run through the middle of the season, you know, and try to kick one of them out. You know, I thought it was going to be Baltimore a couple weeks ago, and now they're having issues. I'm hoping my Colts, you know, they can go on a run here. Hopefully we can beat the Titans. We'll take the division lead there. You know, only have 2 losses. But we'll probably, if we beat the Titans, we probably still won't even be in the top 10 for power rankings. So,
I mean, that division's wide open, right?
I don't know.
You got the Texans, Jags, and Titans. So
Titans, yeah. So it's pretty much a race between the Colts and the Titans right now. The game this weekend will be huge, because if the Colts win on the road, they'll get the tiebreaker because they'll split the series. But if the Titans win, then, you know, the Colts are going to have to be great. So AFC, I would go, you know, Bills, Chiefs, and then everybody else at the moment.
Clashing, who you got for the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, it'll most likely be the Bills and the Chiefs, unless like they get knocked out. Which the only thing I can see, like they're projecting it to be the AFC Championship game. But what if they face each other early, and like one of them gets knocked out? Then
it would have to be a split of teams. So, like, say if Flash said like Colts or the Titans had a run in the season, when the Chiefs had a couple games lost, there's gonna have to be that gap to say you got the Bills number 1, Titans number 2, to where they have to force each other to face each other in the divisional, you know?
Oh, so I remember a point I was going to make. The Chargers are also 4-2, and they should have beat the damn Chiefs when they played earlier in the season. Herbert could very well be put in a conversation with Mahomes or what's his face, Allen, as well, because Chargers had to play the Chiefs again. Both of those teams are 4-2, so I think the Chargers are like so you have the Giants lurking, you know, either, you know, the third best record in the NFC with not the greatest schedule strength, but the Chargers have already played some teams, and if Herbert's healthy, they could win that second matchup against the Chiefs and take the division. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I remember
you're
I
good.
was going to say that.
Shady?
Who do I think? So let's go back to the original question. Who's going to be in the AFC Championship game? Is that what the question is?
AFC Championship game, or do you say a rematch of the AFC Championship game with the Bills versus the Chiefs?
That's what everybody's looking at, because the Chiefs and the Bills obviously have been kind of the cream of the crop as far as putting up wild numbers and stats and points and racking up wins. But I'm gonna throw out the team that nobody's talking about yet. But it's a team that always seems to start a little slow, but then exactly what Flash hit on was of finding their footing midway through the season and getting hot at the right time like they did last year, and that's the Bengals. Now they're 3-3 right now, but like I said, they started off a little slow, but I can see obviously the AFC Championship game being between the Bills and the Chiefs. However, I do see the Bengals taking out the Chiefs in a divisional and being a Bills-Bengals AFC Championship game.
And who do you see taking that game?
As of right now, I would have to say the Bills. I mean, the Bills are. I mean, they're a good team. However, like Flash kind of hit on also, is that Bills don't have a running game. Cincinnati does have a running game with Joe Mixon.
That's debatable.
Yeah, very debatable.
It is
debatable.
Very, very debatable. But I mean, those receivers, man, those receivers in Buffalo, man, they're just so freaking good. Like Davis and Diggs, man, they're just so freaking good. I would have to say it's the Bills. I think this is the year of the Bills. The Bills take it. I think this is the year Bills would go to the Super Bowl and actually win it.
When you were leading up to your point, I actually thought you were about to say the Steelers.
Me too. That's what I was thinking. I
was already smirking. I'm like, please don't say the Steelers, because
no, the Steelers still haven't decided on the freaking quarterback yet. Come on.
Got a concussion.
Whoa! I thought you were high on this Kenny Pickett guy.
Oh, he's got a concussion.
Well, let's lead into that. Okay, the Bucs versus the Steelers. They took down the Bucs, surprisingly. I think it was Kenny Pickett. He came down with a concussion in the third quarter. Then Mitch Trubisky, the MVP, came in and held that lead and still came home with that win. So the question I have is, do you actually think the Steelers will finish the season above 500? We'll start off with Shady this time.
Do I see the Steelers finishing above 500?
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Oh man, I'm gonna say no. As much as I hate to say that, because I love the Steelers have always been one of my favorite teams. But I honestly, because of the quarterback issue, I think that's going to kind of sink them this year. But once they go into next year with Kenny Pickett being the man, I think the Steelers will be back in black and gold next year. I think this is just kind of a down year, kind of that lull in between the Roethlisberger era and what will be the Kenny Pickett era. So I think this is kind of that season in between that's just gonna kind of be a little hard one for the Steelers fans, And like I said, I hate that for myself. But the answer, no, I don't see them finishing above 500 this season.
Clashing, do you think they're gonna finish better than 8-9?
Yeah, I think they can. Depends when they get TJ back, because he's a big part. So if we stay healthy, I think we can go on an 8-3 run. Just look off their schedule. Like we play the Bengals, like we already beat them once, which could be a tough task. The Falcons, we can maybe beat them. Like, the Ravens, I always play good against them no matter what. I think we can beat the Panthers. Hopefully we can beat the Colts.
You did say the Panthers were a good team in Week 1.
They have a good quarterback. A good quarterback. That was that.
You're calling Baker Mayfield good.
Yeah, he's good. Good. Like he's like a middle. I'm not saying he's elite. I'm not saying he's bad. He's just there. He's good. He's like Dak.
What you said at the beginning of the season, how the Panthers were a good NFL team, and they're sitting, I believe it is 1-5 if I'm correct. You actually think they are a good team as a 1-5 team?
1-5.
Well, I don't think DJ Moore has showed up to a single game yet.
So it's DJ Moore's fault.
Yeah, we'll blame DJ Moore. He needs to carry a little better.
The Panthers kicked out a player in the middle of the game, like and then they traded him the next day.
Well, maybe he was playing too good. Maybe they're just trying to have a bad season so they can get some good players in the draft. I wasn't expecting the Panthers to be that bad, but I think the Steelers can beat them. I do think the Steelers will finish positive. I think they get the 9 wins.
You got 2 mediocre teams. It's probably going to end up being a tie. So.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but Flash. You see the Steelers finishing above 500 this year?
They're gonna have to rely on their defense a lot. I believe, depending on when they get Watt back, will be huge as well. I mean, it looks like they have a pretty decent way to distribute the ball to receivers. Like, no one's really standing out above the others, but they're not running the ball well. So if they can, hold teams to under 20 points, they can, they could certainly at least get to 500. It depends though. Like, they got they're at the Dolphins and the Eagles the next 2 weeks. I don't know if is Jameis Winston done for the season again?
Not that I know of. I think he's still.
He's out with like a back injury. So, I mean, the Saints can be tough when they want to be. They'll be home against the Bengals. Hopefully, the Colts can beat them for once. I mean, it could go either way. Right now, I'll just say, like, based off of they're not running the ball well, and they're caught in a, which quarterback they want to play type mindset. I'll say they'll probably be like 7-10.
7-10. I mean, I see them going 7-10, 6-11, but there's also two sides of the story of this. The Bucs losing, falling to 3-3. Is this the end of Tom Brady? Because when I first saw him at the very first game versus the Cowboys, or even before that, he just didn't seem healthy, or something seemed off, which the divorce could be factored in, because Shady did report that a couple weeks ago that they did have a divorce going on with his wife. But is that really affecting his game to where this may be the last of what we see of Tom Brady? Because not the old Tom Brady that we see that will always win and always be. He always had that it factor to go and finish out games. We'll start with Flash on this one.
I mean, over the last couple of years, I've grown to like him more. I always hated him when he played for New England, but I mean, shoot, if he chose football over his family now, he might as well, if he feels like he can play another 3 years, he might as well try it, because, he's already splitting up from his wife, but after all the years they've been together, like, that's definitely got to play some part. But his numbers don't look bad. but I could say the same, like when people are saying, "Oh, Carson Wentz played good last year for the Colts." Like, he made like one throw that won us a game. Other than that, we relied on our running game and defense. So, it looks like he's having a lot of the same issues as Aaron Rodgers. Like, they're not running the ball well. He's having to check it down to his running backs more than anyone else. He just doesn't really have a bunch of time to sit there. And, Evans, he missed at least one game. I know that. I don't know if he's missed any more. But other than that, like, he's got no consistency and at receiver. And he probably misses Gronk the most.
Yeah, that's a big factor into his offense. His receivers have been unhealthy at some points, as Godwin was down. Julio Jones has missed a game. Mike Evans missed a game due to suspension. But going into the first episode, Clashing would just say, I asked about the same question in the same format, and he was like, Tom is Tom. So why is Tom not being Tom, Clashing?
I think he just lost motivation to play, in my opinion. Like, he doesn't practice ever. Like, he is a vet, but you gotta show up at least once, or at least arrive to the game with your team. Don't show up your own private jet.
From a wedding.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like he lost motivation to play. I think he's still talented. He has the skill to win games. He just lost the edge. Doesn't want to compete.
You don't think he has that factor no more because of the motivation?
No, which, like Flash said, like, why would you give up your family for the game if you're not even gonna try? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I don't really know where I'm trying to go. Like, did he lose motivation, or is there something? Is he just distracted?
Could be both.
It could dive into like an identity issue. Some athletes, if they have a long career, they don't know what the hell to do when they're done. I feel like he's been so good for so long. He probably fears, what's going to happen with my life when I retire and I can't play. Like, are people going to forget about me? I mean, they're not, but, that's a psychological issue that people go with. But I wouldn't think, like, you've played over 20 years, you're the most successful player ever. To me, it would not be worth going through what he's going to have to go through.
Shady, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, coming from myself, who I've been through a divorce, with having my two daughters, being as young as they were when my ex-wife and I divorced. His head's like I talked about 2 weeks ago. His head's just not in it. Going through something like that is very, very tough, emotionally, mentally. It's very, very tough, especially when the wife, Gazelle, flies overseas, goes back home with the kids. Now, recently, he got his son back. He's got his son, which will definitely help him and his spirits lift up. But being separated from the rest of his kids, I can tell you from personal experience, that weighs a huge factor. Plus, the process of going through a divorce and the marital things, as far as the properties and everything else, when it comes to it, finances, everything that's got to be decided. It's a very, very tough, tedious, and long process that you have to go through. as far as from what I see this is my speculation on it, that it seems to me that, this all is based off of last year. He promised his wife that he was going to retire, and he decided that he's going to play, and she kind of gave him the ultimatum. Okay, well, if you're going to play, then we're done. If you're putting football in front of your family all the time, every single season, we're done. And, she just has had enough. So he promised her, that he would retire and change his mind on that. But, I mean, you never know behind those closed doors. Did she pressure him into making a promise like that? You don't know. So, as far as right now, his head's just not going to be in it because of everything that he's got to go through on his personal side dealing with that. Now, do I think the question is have we seen the last of Tom? Absolutely not. This season, yeah, it's going to be a tough season for him. It's going to be a tough year for him to go through it. Next year, though, when everything will be final, everything will be decided. He'll have a lot of time to recover and move on with his life. Next season, he'll be back with I'm just saying that he'll be back with a bang next season. So no, I do not think we have seen the last of Tom Brady this season. Yeah, he's going through a tough time in his life. He's just not there. His head's just not going to be in it, which is going to cost the team. But next year, when he's got pretty much all this stuff behind him and everything's been settled and taken care of and decided, and he's moved on with his life, yeah, he'll be back.
Oh,
so
will
you're
there
saying
even
next
be
year?
Yeah.
I have a follow up here. So you're saying next year? How many years do you think he's gonna play? Because didn't he sign a deal with Fox over the summer to broadcast?
There was talk about that when he retired for 40 some days or whatever. Then yeah, he had that agreement or something like that. But with this whole marital thing, now okay, I don't have my wife, nagging me, planning about retiring, yada yada yada. He can make his own decision. He's going to make his own decisions and do what he wants, and he wants to play. Just like you said, Clash, and you said it absolutely right. He has nothing to prove. He's accomplished everything that a player can accomplish. The fact is he just simply loves to play. He simply loves the game. He loves the competition. He loves to play. I mean, so how many years that he's got? If he stays healthy, I'd say probably about 2 or 3. As far as, with the announcing agreement, I mean, who, I don't know, was it Fox or CBS,
Fox. So if he loves to play, why doesn't he show up at practice? Why doesn't he do things with his team?
Because I think from the marital aspect of the things that he's got to go through and the things that he's got to do, it takes going through that kind of process takes a lot of time. It takes a lot dealing with something like that.
Yeah, but wouldn't showing up to practice help ease your mind from the outside stuff? Because you're just in a rhythm of doing the same thing for so many years. You wouldn't you think showing up to practice would help ease some of the mental pain of the outside stuff?
Absolutely. And I mean, when you're in that situation of a divorce and the emotional toll, kids are involved, it's very, very easy, and this is coming from personal experience, it's very, very easy to not do what something like that would make sense. I mean, yeah, get to practice and get your mind off of it and something that you love to do, but your heart and your mind is just not there. So it's like, it's just it's not there right now. So yeah, it absolutely would be beneficial to him from the emotional aspect, of the mental and emotional aspect of it, but he just doesn't have that motivation, that drive, and it's wearing on him. You can see it. It's just wearing on him. He's losing sleep. I guarantee you that. And it's tiring. It's exhausting. and I can kind of see it in him. So so that's why of course I don't know the real reason why he's not showing up to practice or whatever. I mean, he's Tom Brady, but that's one reason why Tampa Bay is not going to be successful this season is because you got to have your quarterback at freaking practice. I mean, to prepare for an NFL game, you got to prepare. You got to have your team there to practice, put the game plan together, and prepare everybody. And the quarterback has got to be the guy to have to be there. So, would it be beneficial for him to be at practice and to be around the team? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking of quarterbacks, let's usually MVP is more of a quarterback award, but the question I'll have for y'all is who do you actually have as your MVP front runners? We'll have a quick take on this. I think Josh Allen is the definite front runner for MVP so far. Then I'll have Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and then Micah Parsons as my top four. But Clashton, for your top four front runners, top three, who do you have winning MVP so far?
I guess it all depends on who goes on a run. Like right now, Josh Allen, easily. Like the Giants get hot and they go and win, 11, 12 games, and Saquon Barkley should be the MVP. It's the same like if Baltimore goes on a run, then they would be Lamar. It all depends on who goes on a run. Like, that's how I view it.
Shady?
What was that again? What was the question?
I have a quick take on who's going to be the MVP or the front runners for MVP so far, and they're about 6 weeks through the season.
Josh Allen. The dude's lighting it up.
Do you have a close second at all?
Close second? At this point, close second. I don't know. I really don't see anybody really as a close second. Maybe, Patrick Mahomes would probably be kind of up there as far as second. I would have to say Mahomes would be in the second spot. But yeah, I see Josh Allen right now as that MVP.
Flash, who you as your MVP front runners so far?
I got Allen far above everyone else. Mahomes, I would put second. And, I can agree with you on Barkley, but the Giants are going to have to win a lot of games. He's majority of their offense. So, if they win 12, 13 games, I think he deserves to be in the conversation. Why
not Danny Dimes, according to Shady?
He's gonna have to score more.
He's have to pass it to a different receiver besides Barkley.
Yeah, because Saquon runs the ball and receives the ball.
Yeah, they've played more games than he's thrown touchdown passes this year. I think he's thrown 5, so he's gonna have to do a lot more. But I haven't. I watch, some games, but I make sure I watch highlights. There isn't like a defensive player, outside of, Micah, whether, a dominant player. They'd be talking about TJ Watt, if he were healthy, I'm sure. Outside of him, haven't really heard anything about anyone just from like a league-wide perspective, so I wouldn't throw in a defensive player. But I'm going to stick with Herbert. I think he's a sleeper. He's taking care of the ball. He's going to have to throw more touchdowns, and they're going to have to win games. But if they find a way to win the division over the Chiefs, I think he has to be in the conversation.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to NFL Week 7. We got the J&J Sports Talk games of the week. We got 3 games this week. We wanted to lower it down. I think 5 is a little too much, so... first game off we got is the Titans versus the Colts. We're going to start off with Flash. Who do you got on that one?
Colts, let's go.
That's an easy one for him. Do you think it's going to be an easy game, or it's just going to be have to hard fought, depending on what their game plan is?
Oh, I'm going to be stressed and pissed off the entire game, but I'm hoping that we at least are ahead by 1 point, and then it'll make my entire day. So that's usually how these games have gone since, we had Phillip Rivers and, we had a pretty good season, but ever since the start of last season, we can be playing great and then, just fall off the wagon. So hopefully we have JT back, get some sort of running game. Matt Ryan played, the way that I was hoping he would play when we decided to bring him to Indy. I know the value that he has, and hopefully he continues to show that.
Clashing.
I'm not a real believer in the Titans. I think Colts are a really good team. They're just struggling because I know they have a good offensive line. So I don't know what's going on there. They have some good receivers. If Jonathan Taylor plays, I think they win. But I still think they can win even without him. I don't know who their third string is. Hopefully Hines is okay.
Deion Jackson.
I'm going to go
Shay-
with Colts. I think it's going to be a pretty big win for the Colts.
Shady, you got the Colts or the Titans?
Touchdown Titans! I'm going with the Titans.
All right, I got the Colts this week. I think if they execute their game plan, Titans haven't really shown me a lot this year, so I think the Colts did beat the Chiefs, and that's a big saying for them. So I think
I'm going to be the lone wolf this week in this pick.
Yeah. The same guy who says the same
run
guy
ball too much, so take it down.
The same guy who says the Giants are the number 2 team in the NFC. Yes.
Yep.
All right, I mean, that's your take. So I'm not gonna. I will Dan you, man. Danny Dimes. All right. Next game we got the Chiefs versus the 49ers. Shady, who you got taking that one?
Oh, man. After the way 49ers played last week, the Chiefs roll on this one.
Clashing.
I'm going with the 49ers just because they're coming off a bad game. Like, surely you can't play bad twice in a row. So they'll have a redemption game here and win.
All right. Flash.
I got to go Chiefs. Kelsey's been almost on another level the last few games. I think him and Mahomes got it rolling, and 49ers, they're not clicking. Like their defense isn't playing like they were last year, and offensively they're just missing something.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs taking this one. They got Juju Smith that started involved this last game, and then like Flash said, they got Kelsey. That's a good duo. And once you got Juju involved, then it makes Kelsey's life even easier going onto the field, scoring 4 touchdowns in the game like he did on Monday Night Football versus the Raiders. But we'll go to the next game. We got Sunday Night Football, Dolphins versus the Steelers. We'll go for we already know who Shady's probably going to pick because he said they're going 3-0 for these next 2-0 according to the next 2 games. So what you got? That's the easy one for you, Shady.
It's the Steelers. Hands down, Steelers. It'll be close. I think it'll be close, but Steelers pop out on this one. Steelers are going to not let me down. They're going to take this win and keep my prediction going.
Clashing. Tua is back, by the way.
He's back for maybe a few plays, but
until he gets slammed.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Steelers. I think something's changed on the offense. I don't really care who the quarterback is, but as long if we keep throwing the ball deep, I think we have a shot. I'm gonna go with Steelers.
Flash.
I think Miami's at home. Tyreek is still Tyreek, and I think it'll be close. I think, the Dolphins are going to win by like 3 or 4 points. But I think the Dolphins will edge them out just because they have, they out-talent them on offense. Steelers don't have enough.
Yeah, I don't see the Steelers taking this one. Going Dolphins all the way. Since Tua's back, I did predict before the season that he was going to throw the most passing yards, and he was on pace to have leading the NFL in passing yards. But now he's back from his concussion or back injury, whatever you want to list it as. If you were a doctor, he's back, and he's going to have Tyreek in that connection. You got Waddle as well. They're going to roll all over the Steelers this week. But that rounds up our games of the week, and we're going to move on to the NASCAR side of things. Joey Logano won the race at Las Vegas. He now advances himself into the championship 4, but it also didn't come without controversy. In stage 2, Bubba got ran up the track by Larson out of 4, and Bubba took some, according to his words, his steering broke, but he took some retaliation in his own hands, and it did collect Larson and Bell, which it sucks for Bell because he was in good position points-wise, and now he's going to have to be in a must-win situation for possibly the next 2 races. But thoughts on it, guys? What do y'all think about this race?
I'm kind of getting to the end of, like, I don't really have patience for this new car anymore. Like, some of the races we've had, you know, have been good. The different winners have been nice to see, but like, you see, my problem is we all see the product that is on Saturdays in the Xfinity Series, and NASCAR has seen this car raced for years, and they have the tire fall off, the bodies hold up, they can beat and bang on each other. You know, I could only imagine if you get all these Cup guys in those cars, you know, I feel like it would be great, and they go with this car. And I mean, the finish was exciting, but you could say the same about the Roval. Like, it was boring until, you know, the last couple laps where it mattered. And but I mean, Logano earned it. I feel he's been the most consistent so far. He deserves a shot in Phoenix, and they showed that. As far as Bubba Wallace, I like how
we did have some breaking news. Yeah, we had some breaking news. The question was going into the podcast was, should Bubba be suspended? But before the podcast started, we did get the breaking news that Bubba is suspended 1 race. So I guess the new question is the penalty the right thing, what NASCAR did?
So my dad texted me, like, right before we hopped on this, and he said that Hamlin and Jordan, it would be smart if they decided to make it a 2-race suspension, which, you know, my dad's my dad, but he's got his opinions. But at this point, like, NASCAR they need to get together and find the line somewhere. You know, you can have these retaliations at certain tracks and it's classified as okay, but then at 1.5 miles where, yeah, I mean, I agree it's dangerous, he shouldn't have done it, but where your own teammate backs it into a wall at Pocono, has a concussion, and then he wrecks Larson and then continues to, like, I'm glad he didn't throw a punch, but he's trying to push him pretty forcefully. Like, Larson could have been concussed climbing out of that race car. So, you know, as far as the retaliating goes, like, you know, there's a better opportunity, you know, to do that instead of lying that, oh, my steering broke, and then you issue an apology like 2 days later, not even 2 days later. So I think, you know, suspending him at least 1 race, I feel like, was the good thing. But the dude's like 30 years old. You know, you've worked your ass off to get in a competitive car, and then you make a stupid decision like that ruins, you know, people's opportunities. So that's my opinion on that.
But yeah, I don't really see Michael Jordan pulling him out of the car because of what he did. Because that's the main reason Michael Jordan
No,
did
he
get
won't.
into
I
racing
mean,
because of Bubba.
yeah, I mean, they have that friendship, but I think, Bubba, he drove for the king even before that. Like, I don't know how many meaningful conversations they had about racing, but to, to be that African American driver that, is supposed to bring all the spotlight and all these new people, and then you hop on Twitter and every single driver, you have IndyCar, like F1 drivers, and even like the Rolex series and all that. They're all on Twitter saying this is awful. Like, I don't know how you defend what he did when you even have guys driving more dangerous cars, saying how stupid it was.
Yeah, Shady. I know you got to get going real quick, but what are your thoughts on the racing Bubba's suspension?
I think I think it should have been a lot more. I think it should have been the rest of the season. That kind of crap should not be tolerated at all. Um, his steering wasn't freaking broke. I mean, if you look at the replay, it had the little throttle meter on it. All completely green. He was full on throttle going right after him.
I mean, what is he supposed to say? Is he going to say, "Yeah, I wrecked him"?
Sports.
I would have more respect for him if he did. I'll tell you that.
I mean,
But
that's what the reporter is there to get them to basically say it, like how Parker Kligerman was asking Byron after the Hamlin incident, and then it slipped out of Byron saying, because he admitted it. I bet if he didn't admit it, it wouldn't have been, the initial penalty wouldn't have came out. But I mean, even if he was lying, if Bubba was lying or not, if he was told the truth, he still got the suspension no matter what.
Yeah, I just think that on that issue that of course Bubba's going to apologize. Obviously, I mean, in professional sports, you do something stupid like that, you have to apologize. You're going to have to come out with a public apology. That's just whether you want to or not. I mean, it probably wouldn't even written by him. I mean, but so I don't even pay no mind to that. But no, I mean, I think that exactly like Flash just said, that these cars, these cars have allowed drivers to get injured. You have Kurt Busch now, with his issue, that's permanently knocked him out of full-time contention. It could have been a lot better, and especially for Christopher Bell, who was just running his own race, had no part of it, gets wrecked, and now he, his playoff and his championship hopes, are up in the air because of something Bubba Wallace did, which was just uncalled for. I mean, it's just dumb. So I think it should have been, I mean, there's only so many races left in the season. I think should have parked him for the rest of the season, taught him a lesson, and taught a precedent to other drivers that something like that would not be tolerated.
So I got a question for you real quick. So if you were in that position, Bubba's position, and you know how frail these rear ends are, no matter how small of a contact it makes in these outside walls in the rears, and that toe links break. Once you basically break that toe link, your race is over, and you're going to go 5 or so many laps down, or not even get to 10 minutes on the DVP clock. When you're in Bubba's position and he got ran up, and even if he did lift, the air of him lifting, it would have backed his car up. He was way out of the groove. Wouldn't you think, taking a race for a race, because Larson ruined his race by running him into the wall, might as well take him. I'm not backing him up for what he did, but I'm saying if you were in that spot in the moment, your race is ruined right there. Why don't you just ruin his race?
I can see that I can see that point of view. Now, from what I would have done, no, I would not have wrecked him. I wouldn't. I would have taken it after. I would have taken it to him after the race. I would have waited till after the race or whenever Kyle Larson stepped out of the car. I'd be sitting there waiting for him to step out of the car. But in that heat of the moment, I would of course, we all don't know what we would exactly do in that heat of the moment. No, I mean, but from where we sit, I would like to say that I would have enough restraint and enough self-control to keep my cool, especially when you represent Toyota, you're representing 2311, you're representing McDonald's, you're representing a lot of people. You got a lot of eyes on you. I mean, it's not. I mean, especially when you're Bubba Wallace, when you're in that kind of a spotlight, that you're already under a microscope, and it's so. I mean, I personally would like to think I have a lot more restraint than that, and I would not have said, "Oh, he just screwed up my race. I'm taking his race out." I would have waited for him to get out of the car. I'd be standing there waiting for him to get out of the car. That's what I would like to say. But in that heat of the moment, you never know what you could do when frustration, boils over, so to speak. So, but me personally, I would have more restraint just because you're in that kind of a spotlight. You represent that many people. You have that many eyes on you. You're held to a certain standard. I would, kind of think, I'm not going to give the haters what they want. You kind of that's the way that's how I would go with it.
Clashin, what's your point of view on this situation?
Was the thing he did the correct thing? Probably not. I like the retaliation. I think he should have done it in a different way, but I think retaliation probably needed there.
But that was his only shot to probably get him at that moment because his car was probably broke at that time. I'm not saying his steering was broke. I'm not saying his steering was broke. He definitely turned down the track to turn him, but that was probably his only shot to get redemption under green flag conditions.
I understand what he was doing, but there's other ways. You could have waited 20 laps. Like what I would have done, like maybe wait for him to catch back up. Maybe it would have accidentally, stalled my car in his pit box to the next stop. There's a bunch of different things he could have done. Either way, he was gonna get hate on because you wrecked Kyle Larson. If it would have been another popular driver that did it, it would be an okay thing. But since it was Bubba, people are just looking for things to say.
Yeah, because I was saying like that probably was his only. Even if they were to throw the caution, he's gonna have to pit to get that damage repaired. And if you can't get the damage repaired, the best shot you can get back at him is wrecking him under yellow, which you can't wreck people under yellow now. They changed the rules to where you're going to get a 50-point penalty and at minimum $50,000 fine, up to $100,000 fine.
Yeah, but he could have waited 30 laps later. Like he could have put it around the track.
You can't if you're on the
waiting for him to come back.
If you're getting your car fixed under the DVP clock and you can't make, let's say if they did fix it, or not even fix it, just get the car back out on the track. It's not going to make speed. You can't wait 30 laps because you got a certain window. Because if the caution were to come out, you only have a certain window to fix that car, and most likely you can't fix these toe links because it's so easy to break them and hard to fix them.
I think of it like this: like either way, the goal is to intentionally ruin their day. So like, what's the matter if you went over the clock, you're DQ'd. I would still go out the track and wreck him, even if my time isn't gonna count anyway. Like that's what I would do.
That would be even worse.
It look bad no matter what you do.
Of course, it looks bad, but I'm trying to take it with a grain of salt. Of course, what he did was terrible.
Suspension either way.
It was gonna be.
Oh, look, you're gonna get punished. You gotta do something.
You can't change it. He got suspended.
For sponsors, if you don't do anything, it makes you look bad for your sponsors. Like you don't care where you finish. Oh, I got wrecked, so I'm gonna do nothing about it. It looks bad either way.
It does look bad. All right, well, we can move on from this topic, and we'll go on to next week. We got Homestead, Miami. What are y'all picks for that race? Flash.
Red.
Oh man. Man, I'd put Larson in that group. That seems to be one of his tracks.
Before or after he takes out Bubba? No, I'm kidding. He ain't even racing.
I mean, he'll be in the conversation. I have a feeling that Byron will be good again. You know, it's a different car than last year, but I feel like, you know, lately they can qualify well and they have a decent handle on the car. And then around, it doesn't matter the track. I just feel like, you know, Denny Hamlin's going to find speed out of nowhere. Like the rest of the Gibbs cars could be running 15th, and then Hamlin finds a way to run like 3rd or 4th. So those are my three that I'm watching. Of course, I hope Chase is up there too, but I was thinking he'd be up towards the front in Vegas, and that didn't happen. So
that was a terrible race.
Holding my breath.
That race was so terrible for Chase. He was 25th, like even before the cars that were running up ahead of him, he was a 25th place car. That was like the worst race I've ever seen, or the worst car they've ever brought to the track.
It's maybe happened a couple more times in his career, but yeah, that was it's been a while since we've seen something like that from them without having, you know, penalties or some sort of damage. So hopefully they went to work this week, so we'll have to wait and see.
It seems like his car hasn't been the same, or the cars they've been building the same since Michigan. It's like they've always seemed tight and they can't turn, and I don't know what the reason is, but it seemed like after the Pocono race when they caught Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, they kind of, I don't know if they took their cheats back and they're like, all right, let's lay it back. I don't want to get caught now. Luckily we got away with that one, the win from Pocono because of that. But ever since Michigan, it's just gone downhill. Like their package just can't pass, or except minus Texas when they did get up front and they were running and before they blew a tire. But Shady, who are your picks to win Homestead?
I'm going to go with Logano.
Back to back.
Coming off that win last week, it's a lot of momentum. And also, if not Logano, then Christopher Bell. He's got to win. He's got to stay in it. He's going to be driving with his pants on fire. Logano's got the momentum, so I'm looking at Logano or Bell for the win.
Clashing?
No, I said Reddick, but I'm gonna go with Rochester. Yeah.
You changed your pick?
Yeah. I forgot Ross has been really good at mile and a half this year, so I think he's gonna be strong.
Yeah, he has been pretty strong. He almost got the win at Vegas to lock himself in, but he's pretty good points wise to where he doesn't need to really push the issue unless he does push the issue. Yeah, unless
the last 130 laps, he's just gonna block.
Yeah, but him and Kyle Busch almost got after it coming to those final laps. He was bumping into his rear end on the lap after the finish. But for my pick, I'm gonna pull one out of the bag. I'm gonna say I'm gonna bring a shocker here. It's more of a long shot. I'm gonna go with Christopher Buescher. I think no. I'm going Christopher Buescher. I think with the way RFK has been building up with their whole program, they found some speed throughout the year, and the fastest car on that team is Buescher, and he's ran well at Homestead before. So I expect with the team that they have now and the cars that they keep bringing to the track, they will be up front and contending. I won't put my money on it, but I'll say from pick wise, I think Buescher may get it done. It's a a shocker. He's gonna bring him the win. But we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks Flash for joining the show. Maybe we'll have you again on the podcast. But yeah, it's been awesome, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. A lot of fun talking with you guys. We don't really convene, much other than race day. So yeah, I'll be glad to come back.
It's gonna be a fun one, especially we're gonna have a 3-race stretch with this playoffs and then the championship race. Hopefully all 3 of us make it, but Shady's gonna have a good seat in the booth to watch it all. But any y'all got last words? Shady, clashing?
I'm about ready to go win me a race at Charlotte. So you guys have a great night. Thank you for having me on, Flash. Awesome to have you on. I will see you all tomorrow night in the Valor race. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you guys next week back here at Tuesday night for the podcast. And you guys have a great night. I'm going to go get me a dub.
Hey, good luck, Shady. Go get you that win. All right, we're going to wrap this show up. Yeah, it's been a good episode. Hopefully the Cowboys get it done. I know they'll get it done. It's the Lions. But, yeah, and then we got Flash's Colts. They'll get it done. Steelers. Nobody cares about the Steelers. But
nobody cares about the Cowboys.
It's America's team.
Yeah, Steelers are America's team. What are you talking about?
No, they're not. They suck. All right. Well, yeah, all right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next week for episode 6. Thanks. Hey guys, this is a production of the J&J Media, brought to you by Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops.